I purchased my grandmother a $3 million retirement home, then my brother's wife changed the deed to her name, so I showed up with police and the original documents she forgot I had. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. The notification pinged on my phone at 2:47 a.m. Property tax bill. For a house I'd already paid off. My grandmother's house. I sat up in bed, heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to escape. $3 million I'd dropped on that Mediterranean-style villa in Buckhead, Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhood. And now the county was saying the owner was someone named Bianca Winters. My sister-in-law. I called my brother Daryl immediately. Did you let Bianca mess with Grandma Alice's paperwork? The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then came his voice, small and defeated. Ruth, I didn't know she was gonna do it like this. She said she was just helping organize the documents. My blood turned to ice water. Organize? Daryl, what the hell did she organize? She had Grandma sign some papers last week. Said it was for insurance purposes. I was already pulling on clothes, my hands shaking with a rage so pure it felt like electricity. Grandma Alice raced us after Mama died. She worked double shifts at Grady Hospital for 30 years, lived in that cramped two-bedroom in Vine City, never complained once. When my tech startup sold last year, buying her that dream home was the first thing I did. Not for Bianca's scheming behind. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the property records. There was deed transfer dated 5 days ago. My grandmother's shaky signature at the bottom. I screenshot everything, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. ## Chapter 2. The Truth in Grandma's Eyes. I drove to Grandma Alice's house as sunrise painted Atlanta's skyline gold and crimson. The gate code still worked. Bianca hadn't changed that yet. Inside I found Grandma in her favorite room, the sunroom overlooking the koi pond I'd installed because she'd always loved fish. She looked smaller somehow, wrapped in the quilted robe I'd bought her from Neiman Darrell. "Baby girl," she whispered when she saw me. "I did something terrible, foolish." Her hands trembled as she reached for mine. I knelt beside her chair, trying to keep my voice steady. "Tell me exactly what happened, Grandma. Every single detail." She took a shaking breath. "Bianca came by Tuesday. Said Daryl was in financial trouble, something about gambling debts. Said they needed my signature to protect the house from creditors." My stomach dropped. Daryl had been clean for 3 years. She had all these official-looking papers. Talked so fast, used all these legal words. Said if I didn't sign, they'd lose everything and it'd be my fault. "Did anyone else see this?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Just her. She said it was confidential, that you'd be angry if you found out Daryl was gambling again. Made me promise not to tell you." Grandma's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Ruth. I just wanted to help my grandson." I hugged her tight, breathing in her lavender perfume. "You did nothing wrong. Bianca manipulated you." But inside I was calculating. Fraud. Elder abuse. Possible forgery. My mind raced through every legal avenue available. I found Daryl at his apartment in Midtown, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His usually neat dreads were matted, his eyes red-rimmed and hollow. He opened the door before I could knock. "I know why you're here," he said, voice cracking. "Come in." The apartment was chaos. Papers everywhere, empty takeout containers, the smell of desperation. "How long have you known?" I demanded. Daryl collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. "I found out yesterday. I was looking for our marriage certificate for a passport renewal. Found the deed transfer documents hidden in her closet. In a lockbox I didn't even know existed. And you're just now telling me?" My voice could have cut glass. I confronted her last night. She said it was for our future, that you had more money than you needed, that Grandma was old and wouldn't use the house much longer anyway. The casual cruelty of it took my breath away. She said what? Those exact words, Ruth. Then she laughed. Said I should be thanking her for securing our financial future. Said Grandma would probably be dead in a few years anyway and the house would just sit empty. Daryl looked up and I saw something broken in my brother's eyes. I married a monster. Where is she now? I asked. At the house. Our house. She moved some of her things in this morning. Called it taking possession. Karen Cornelius's law office in Buckhead was all glass and steel, sharp edges and sharper minds. She'd handled my business acquisitions and when I called that morning she cleared her schedule immediately. Elder fraud is my specialty now, she said, laying out documents across her massive desk. I've seen this pattern before. Predatory family member, vulnerable senior, rushed paperwork. I showed her everything. The deed transfer, my original purchase documents, screenshots of my wire transfers, the title insurance policy with my name on it. Karen's dark eyes gleamed. This is good. Very good. Do you have proof your grandmother lacked capacity or was coerced? She's sharp as a tack. Bianca lied to her, manipulated her with fake stories about Daryl. Karen nodded slowly, making notes on her legal pad. That's undue influence. We can fight this. But Ruth, I need you to understand, this could get ugly. Family cases always do. Uglier than stealing from an 83-year-old woman? I shot back. She smiled grimly. Point taken. Here's what we're going to do. We file for emergency injunction, get the deed transfer voided, and pursue criminal charges for elder exploitation and fraud. I'll also recommend you get power of attorney for your grandmother's affairs going forward. How long will this take? She leaned back in her chair. Could be weeks. Could be months. Depends on how hard Bianca fights. I thought about Grandma's trembling hands, her tears of shame. Then we'd better hit hard and fast. I showed up at the house. My house, Grandma's house, at 3 p.m. with Karen and a court officer. Bianca's silver Mercedes was in the driveway, parked in Grandma's spot. The disrespect was breathtaking. I used my key and we walked in to find Bianca redecorating. She'd moved Grandma's furniture, replaced family photos with generic art from Home Goods. She was on the phone laughing when she saw us. I'll call you back, she said smoothly, pocketing her phone. Ruth. I wondered when you'd show up. Her confidence was stunning. No guilt, no shame, just pure entitlement radiating from her designer outfit. You wondered? After you stole my grandmother's house. Stole. She laughed, a tinkling sound that made my skin crawl. Your grandmother gave it to me. Willingly. It's all legal. Karen stepped forward. Ms. Winters, I'm Karen Cornelius, representing Ruth Melton and Alice Melton. We have a court order freezing all property transfers and requiring you to vacate immediately. Bianca's smile faltered. That's impossible. Daryl is my husband. He agrees with this. Actually, I said, Daryl has already given a statement to my attorney. He's filing for divorce. You played yourself. The mask cracked then. Her face contorted with rage. You entitled bitch. You think because you got lucky with some stupid app that you're better than everyone? That house is worth millions. My children deserve security. Your children. I felt my voice go deadly quiet. You don't have children, Bianca. Not yet. But when I do. Karen opened her briefcase with deliberate slowness, like a magician about to reveal the trick. Let's talk about these documents you had Mrs. Melton sign. She laid out the deed transfer marked with yellow tabs. This signature was obtained through fraudulent misrepresentation. You told her it was for insurance purposes. You fabricated a gambling addiction to manipulate an elderly woman. Bianca's lawyer, some bargain attorney she'd found on Google, cleared his throat. That's hearsay. You can't prove. Actually, I interrupted, pulling out my phone. I can. I hit play. Grandma's voice filled the room, telling her story. I'd recorded everything that morning with her permission. The lies Bianca told. The pressure tactics. The manufactured urgency. Bianca lunged for my phone, but the court officer stepped between us. That's inadmissible, she shrieked. Karen smiled. It's absolutely admissible. And we have more. Bank records showing you tried to access the property tax account. Emails to realtors asking about listing prices for Buckhead properties matching this address. Text messages to friends bragging about your new house. I also have these, I said, producing a thick folder. The original purchase agreement. My mortgage approval, paid in full 18 months ago. The title insurance policy. The closing documents with my signature, not yours. The contractor invoices for all the modifications I made for Grandma's mobility issues. Every receipt, every payment, every document proving this house is mine and was gifted to my grandmother. Bianca's face went from red to white. Daryl will back me up. Daryl, Karen said quietly, has already signed an affidavit stating you acted without his knowledge or consent. I timed it perfectly. As Bianca sputtered and her lawyer scrambled for arguments, 2 Atlanta Police Department officers walked through the front door. Detective Tristan Crawford and Officer Monica Pierce. I'd filed a report that morning. Elder fraud, exploitation of a vulnerable adult, possible forgery. Bianca Winters? Detective Crawford asked, his voice professional but carrying an edge. We need you to come down to the station. On what charges? Her lawyer demanded. Elder exploitation under Georgia Code 30-5-8 fraud, and we're investigating possible forgery, Officer Pierce recited. We have evidence that Ms. Winters obtained legal documents through false pretenses from an 83-year-old woman. Bianca's composure shattered completely. This is harassment. Ruth's just mad because I'm with Daryl. I'm mad because you're a thief, I said coldly. There's a difference. We're also executing a search warrant for any documents related to the property transfer, Detective Crawford added, producing papers. Bianca's lawyer looked panicked now. I need to consult with my client. You can consult at the station, Officer Pierce said firmly. Ms. Winters, you're not under arrest, but we need your cooperation in this investigation. As they led Bianca out, she turned back to me. You'll regret this. Daryl won't forgive you for destroying his marriage. Daryl won't forgive you for who you really are, I replied. And Bianca? I have more documents. The ones showing you forged Grandma's signature on the notarization form. The notary public was on vacation in Jamaica that day. Want to guess how I know? That night, Daryl showed up at my condo in Atlantic Station carrying a box. His eyes were swollen from crying. I brought everything I could find, he said, setting it on my kitchen counter. Bank statements, her laptop, documents she kept hidden. I'm done protecting her. We sat at my kitchen table sorting through the evidence of Bianca's schemes. It was worse than I'd imagined. She'd been planning this for 8 months, Daryl said, voice hollow. Since you first mentioned buying Grandma a house. There are notes in her handwriting. Property value $3 million, quick flip potential, Atlanta market hot. I found a folder labeled Financial Freedom Plan. Inside were research papers on elder manipulation, legal loopholes in deed transfers, and a timeline. Daryl, she researched how to do this. This wasn't impulsive. She studied how to steal from our grandmother. There's more, he said quietly. She convinced me to take out a life insurance policy on Grandma. $2 million. I signed it thinking it was normal that all families did it. She said it was about being responsible. My blood ran cold. When? 3 months ago. I didn't think anything of it until I saw her Google searches. He pulled out his phone showing me screenshots. How long until elderly person in poor health dies? Average lifespan of 83-year-old woman. Accelerating natural causes without detection. I thought I'd been angry before. I was wrong. This was rage on a molecular level, changing the very composition of my blood. She was planning to kill Grandma, I whispered. Daryl nodded, tears streaming. I don't have proof. Just searches and that timing. Karen called the next morning with news that made my head spin. We've been investigating Bianca's background. Ruth, she's done this before. I gripped the phone tighter. What do you mean? She was married once before to an elderly man in Savannah. He died 6 months after they married. Heart attack ruled natural causes. His adult children contested the will. She'd convinced him to leave her everything, but they settled out of court. She walked away with $400,000. My hands shook. And nobody reported this? The family wanted to avoid scandal. Rich white family didn't want their patriarch's name associated with a potential gold digger. They paid her off and she disappeared. Changed her last name, moved to Atlanta, created a whole new identity. How did you find this? Karen's voice hardened. I have investigators who specialize in this. Once we started digging, the pattern emerged. She targets families with elderly members and significant assets. Gets close to a family member, marries in, manipulates documents. This is what she does, Ruth. Your family isn't the first. I thought about Grandma Alice, about how close we'd come to disaster. We need to bring this to the DA. She's a serial predator. Already done. They're opening a fraud investigation. But Ruth, there's something else. We found evidence she was in contact with 2 other families. One in Roswell, one in Stone Mountain. Both have elderly grandparents. Both have successful grandchildren who recently bought them homes. She's hunting, I said, realization dawning. She literally hunts vulnerable families. Yes. And you stopped her. But we need to make sure she never does this again. Grandma Alice wanted to testify. Despite Karen's concerns about putting an 83-year-old woman through the stress, Grandma insisted. That girl made me feel stupid, she said, steel in her voice I remembered from childhood. Made me feel like I was losing my mind. I want to look her in the eye and tell the truth. The deposition took place in Karen's conference room. Bianca sat across from Grandma, flanked by her new lawyer. The bargain one had quit after seeing the evidence. I held Grandma's hand as Karen began questioning. Mrs. Melton, can you describe what happened on Tuesday, November 3rd? Grandma's voice was clear, strong. Bianca came to my house around 2 p.m. She was crying, saying Daryl was in trouble. Said he'd gambled away their savings, owed dangerous people money. I was scared for my grandson. What did she ask you to do? She had papers. Said they were to protect the house from creditors. Said it was temporary, just until Daryl got help. She kept saying, sign here, Grandma, quick before they come for it. Did she explain what you were signing? No. She just kept pointing at signature lines, flipping pages fast. My eyes aren't what they used to be. I trusted her. She's family. Grandma looked directly at Bianca. I trusted you because you married my grandson. I welcomed you into our family. And you used that trust to rob me. Bianca looked away. For the record, Karen said, Mrs. Melton has perfect cognitive function. Her doctor has confirmed this. She was not incapable of understanding, she was deliberately deceived. The criminal trial began in February, 3 months after that awful night, the Fulton County Courthouse was packed with journalists. The story had gone viral. Tech entrepreneur takes down gold digger who targeted grandma, read one headline. But this wasn't about publicity. This was about justice. The prosecutor, Assistant DA Jennifer Chin, was ruthless. She presented our evidence piece by piece, building an unassailable case. The forged notarization. The pattern of targeting wealthy families. The internet searches about grandma's life expectancy. The life insurance policy. Each revelation hit like a hammer blow. Bianca's defense was that she genuinely believed she was helping the family, that it was all a misunderstanding. But then Karen was called as a witness and produced the documents that changed everything. "These are emails we recovered from Ms. Winter's laptop," Karen said, her voice carrying through the courtroom. "Sent to her sister in Houston." The email read, "I've got the deed. The old lady signed everything. Daryl is too weak to do anything about it. His sister has money but she's too soft, too righteous to fight family in court. By the time she figures it out, I'll have sold it and disappeared. $3 million courses. We're set for life." The courtroom erupted. Daryl, sitting beside me, put his face in his hands. The jury's expressions shifted from neutral to disgusted. Bianca tried to stand to say something, but her lawyer pulled her down. "That email," Jennifer Chin said, "was sent 2 days before she approached Mrs. Melton with the fraudulent documents. This was premeditated theft." The jury deliberated for 47 minutes. Guilty on all counts: elder exploitation, fraud, forgery, attempted theft. The judge set sentencing for 2 weeks later. But before that there was the civil case. Karen had filed for restitution, damages, and full restoration of the deed to my name as grandma's trustee. Judge Marilyn Foster presided, a 60-year-old black woman with a no-nonsense reputation. She reviewed every document in silence, then looked at Bianca with something like disgust. "Ms. Winters, in 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such calculated cruelty. You targeted a vulnerable elder, exploited family bonds, and plotted theft with stunning premeditation." "Your Honor," Bianca's lawyer began, but Judge Foster held up her hand. "The deed transfer is hereby voided. The property at 2847 Habersham Road is restored to Ruth Melton as trustee for Alice Melton. Ms. Winters is ordered to pay $500,000 in damages for emotional distress, legal fees and punitive damages. Additionally, you are permanently barred from contact with any member of the Melton family." Bianca's face crumpled. "I don't have that kind of money." "Then I suggest you find employment," Judge Foster said coldly. "You're young. You'll have plenty of time to work after you serve your sentence." At the criminal sentencing she received 8 years. Not enough in my opinion, but it was something. As they led her away in handcuffs she looked at me one last time. No apology, just hatred. I met her gaze steadily. I protected my family. That was all that mattered. 6 months later I stood in Grandma's sunroom, truly hers now, legally and irrevocably, watching her feed her koi fish. Daryl was there too, rebuilding his life one day at a time. His divorce was final. He'd started therapy and joined a support group for people who'd been in manipulative relationships. "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner," he said quietly. "I chose her over family." "You were manipulated too," I told him. "She was good at it. That's what predators do." Grandma called us over to look at something. In the pond, new baby koi swam between the lotus flowers. "New life," she said, smiling. "Isn't that something?" Karen had helped me establish a foundation, the Alice Melton Elder Protection Fund. We were funding legal services for families facing similar situations, training law enforcement to recognize elder fraud patterns, and supporting legislation for stronger protections. Bianca had targeted my family, but she'd created something bigger. A movement. My phone buzzed with a message from a woman in Stone Mountain. One of the families Bianca had been targeting. Thank you for stopping her before she got to us. My grandmother is safe because of you. I showed Grandma the message. He squeezed my hand. You did good, baby girl. Your mama would be so proud. Standing there in the house I'd bought with my success, surrounded by the family I'd protected with my determination, I finally felt peace. Bianca had tried to take everything. Instead, she'd reminded me what mattered. Not the money, not the property, but the people we love and the lengths we'll go to protect them. That house wasn't just walls and windows. It was a fortress of family, and I was its guardian.